Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be looking at the best performance upgrades that you can do to your motorized bike. This video is going to be strictly based on stuff you can bolt on. This is not going to focus on balancing your crank or porting your cylinder. This is stuff that the average Joe can do themselves, and they can basically buy the part and expect power. So let's dive right in. So the first part that we're going to be looking at is the Nasty Jack MZ65. You guys may have heard me say that I was going to buy one from my YD100, and temporarily I bought a Fat Belly just because those pipes they're really easy to get, they're cheap, and honestly they don't work that bad. They're actually better in the mid-range. What you notice about this pipe here is it has a noticeable power band, and on the higher RPMs this thing's going to kick in and give you that extra oomph that the other pipes don't have. It does come in at about $90 US, so it's definitely not cheap, but it's pretty much the same volume as an MZ65, and this pretty much adds another horsepower on top of your 2.5 horsepower motor. And overall, it's the easiest upgrade to do. So our next bike part here is, in my opinion, a really good one. It is the BBR Tuning Billet cylinder head, and there used to be one called the Fred head, but I believe the patent got taken and something happened where they copied it. Anyways, this is not that one though. This is a totally different design, and the deck height on it is a lot shorter than a stock head, so it allows you to get that compression boost from, let's say, 100 psi back up to 120, if not even further. So I mean, it depends what head gaskets you run and things like that. It has a larger surface area. What this is going to do is it's going to allow the head to cool off faster, because if you have more surface area, it can soak up more heat, and also where the head's taller, well, it does soak up a lot more heat, it also dissipates it a lot quicker because of the cold air running through it. So it's basically a really solid part. Definitely recommend it. This one's kind of a curveball because you may have heard bad things about this carburetor, but in my experience it's pretty good. So this is, if you don't know, the PWK 21mm carb. And what most people get wrong about this thing is they don't jet it, right? They don't jet it properly, or they put it on a super small engine. These carburetors really only support, they can support 66 cc's, but I feel much more comfortable putting this on, let's say, an iron sleeve or a YD100. It has that extra displacement to allow it to take advantage of the larger carb and not just bog it out so bad. As long as you jet it properly and you cap off the power jet, I've seen these things perform really great. And a lot of people will tell you that the NT is fine. It's great and all, but once you start porting cylinders and once you start modifying, it's going to flow a lot more air, so you're going to need more fuel. So, and also you can get different color bowls. You can get this little orange one or a blue one. They're just see-through to let you know if there's enough fuel in there. So it's really modifiable, and I recommend it. Also, I did a whole video series on how to tune this carburetor. It also has a lot of adjustments. So you have your needle adjustment, your air fuel screw, your main jet, pilot jet, the list goes on. So you can really tweak and fine tune the way you want it to run. So if you're new to this hobby, you're probably looking at these things going, what in the world are these? But bear with me, guys. These are the main jets and pilots that you're going to need for the carb I just mentioned about. It's a pretty good kit. It ranges from 100 main to 170 main, so it's going to cover a lot of ground for most people. But in some altitudes, you will have to go lower than the 100. But in my situation, it just seemed to work out pretty good. The pilot jet, and like I said, I did a video on it. You want to run around a 38 pilot to be safe, and then start with a 110 main and just work your way down. But yeah, jet kit, definitely pick one up. So at one point or another, you may have came across the SAF super clutches, and when you start getting into this performance upgrades and things like that, you're going to need good clutch grip, because what's any good of a motor that can rev really high if it can't go nowhere? So having a really good clutch system is definitely ideal. I'm going to be doing a video series on this, but Moses actually uploaded a video on this and how to make one, and for now I'm going to say to check that out, but hopefully by then I should have my own video on it. And it's a really good idea in my opinion. It puts even pressure on the clutch pads, and like I said, you need basic tools to build it. So at this power level, you're definitely going to need it. You can get them in a few different colors, obviously, and it's well worth it. Also, something I left out, when you do this clutch mod, you actually need to drill at your clutch cover, and I did a video on that, so make sure to check it out. So the G2 Reed, I've had really good experiences with this thing. When I was a beginner, I didn't window the piston and it caused it to run really bad, but that was obviously my error. So once I did that, the thing fired right up and it's been running great since. Also, you're going to need to get some reed stuffers for it, because with that OKO, you're sending a lot more fuel through it, and any sort of sharp edges on the reed or any extra volume is going to cause a lot of turbulence. So I recommend getting a little stuffer. And also, like I said, you're going to need to weld up your own intake. You could probably get somebody to 3D print one for you, but the reed valve itself will work great. You're just going to need to come up with a mounting solution for the bigger carb, because like I said, the 21mm OKO, it fits onto a 32mm hose, I believe. So you're going to need to do some mods there, but once you get it to work all right, it's a very solid setup. So by now you're probably wondering, after doing all these engine mods, wouldn't it just top out super fast? And you're right. So with a 36.2 Sprocket, in my opinion, it's a really good gear ratio if you're trying to go for top speed. I've even seen guys go down to 32. At that point, you really have no mid-range power. At least with this one here, guys, it's going to allow you to get that top speed that you're looking for, but it still be somewhat rideable. The 40 tooth I've also heard, and the 38 are really good in-between options between your stock ones and this style. So whatever you go with, just make sure it's a 36 tooth and on a rag joint or a hub adapter. It doesn't matter to me. As long as it's solidly mounted, you should be good. That expansion chamber that I talked about earlier, chances are if you buy that and you just put it on, it's going to be very loud. So what I recommend doing is buying this silencer. It's only about $32 and it's well worth it. Like I said, it comes with the tip there, and a little mistake that I made, the welded end that sticks up a little bit, don't put that in the pipe. You want to leave that on the outside. Put the other end inside. I made that mistake and it broke the weld on the inside. Also, to attach the thing, you're going to need some heater hose and 2 hose clamps. So a lot of people get stressed over this. It's really easy. You don't have to slide it inside the pipe. You can just bolt it on with the heater hose and it'll work great. Before I leave you guys off, I wanted to announce that the Phantom 85 is actually back in stock, and it's in its V3 version with the 12mm wrist pin, and it also has the narrow intake, so that way no ring snag happens. I'm actually glad that Bicycle Engines listened to the issues that was going on and didn't just ignore it like a lot of other companies out there. And now I think this V3, we'll see how it goes. I'm not going to say anything yet, but I mean, it's definitely an expensive kit, but if everything goes well, this is probably going to be the most powerful motorized bike kit stock that you can buy, at least from one of these websites, right? So I'm just glad that they finally figured out the issues and resolved them. This motor's got a lot of stigma around it that hopefully once this thing's on the market for a little bit, it can be broken up. But yeah, so that with that out of the way, I'm going to wrap up the video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to give me a like, and I'll see you guys in the next video.